Hello Tech Wizards and welcome back to video number 3 in our Model Rocket series. In this video we're going to be talking about some basic concepts of rocket science. That's right, by the end of this video you will all be amateur rocket scientists. In front of me I have a diagram of a model rocket that I've labeled with some of the forces that we'll be dealing with. Let's talk about these forces. As you can see, there's 3 forces we're going to be talking about today. Gravity over here, we're going to be talking about drag over here, and we're going to be talking about thrust down here. You'll also notice that 2 of these forces are labeled in red and one's labeled in green. That's because the 2 labeled in red are what we're going to call negative forces, and the one labeled in green is a positive force. Let's talk about our positive force first. Positive force in model rockets is thrust. Thrust is what makes the model rocket go up in the air. How do we provide thrust for our model rockets? Well, we use a model rocket engine. Model rocket engine, sometimes called a model rocket motor, has a flammable mixture inside of it that when we ignite it, it forces the gases out of this nozzle on the end and makes our rocket fly upwards. The 2 negative forces we're dealing with, gravity and drag, are going to try to slow our rocket down and bring it back down to Earth. Gravity is pretty basic. I'm sure you've all talked about that in science class. Gravity is what pulls everything back down to Earth at some point or another. If you imagine throwing a ball up in the air, it's going to come back down because of gravity. Something you might not have talked about is drag. Drag is a kind of a term that refers to the air resistance. As our rocket flies through the air, it's going to be flying at a high speed, and that high speed going through the air is going to put resistance against the surfaces of the rocket. This resistance is called drag. So how does this affect how we build our rocket? Well, if you look at this rocket, I have 5 fins on this rocket. Every time you add a fin to a rocket, it adds drag. It adds more surface area for the air to flow over, and it's going to slow our rocket down a little bit. Now I know what you might be thinking, why don't we just fly a rocket without fins? Well, we can't really do that because fins help stabilize our rocket and keep it going upward in a straight motion. How many fins do we need? Well, we need at least 3 fins. I personally like to put 5 fins on these rockets because it makes them a little more stable and makes them fly a little bit straighter as long as you get those fins on straight. So let's keep these 3 forces in mind as we go through the next few steps of our rocket build, and we'll reference back to this drawing now and then.